Hello and good day to all of you. Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss about brainstorming techniques in HCI. If you could recall the previous lectures that we have already done, we have discussed about various salient points associated with HCI designing. Among that, one of the most important aspect that we discussed was the fact collection mechanisms. Under fact collection mechanisms, we discussed about various situations and challenges associated with the fact collection and the available strategies to overcome those challenges as well. Now we have collected the facts. Now we are in the process towards creating our finalized designs. But before that, we have to analyze and brainstorm the information that we have collected through fact collection techniques. In order to fulfill that aspect, in this lecture we are going to discuss about few brainstorming techniques as well. So first technique that we are going to focus on today is the storyboarding mechanism. Now storyboarding is, as you can see in the slide, it's a series of small panels which are indexed with a specific number denoting the sequence, right? So each of these panel containing a sort of a pictorial representation associated with a particular task. Now what actually storyboard represents? Storyboard represents series of activities, a concerned set of stakeholders or the users in fulfilling a specific design goal or specific requirement. So the important aspect of the storyboarding is it's a pictorial representation confined to a small panel, right? So one panel is conveying a specific activity conducive for the fulfillment of the overall task. So likewise, through this sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, likewise, how these activities are linked to each other in a sequential way is depicted. So if we are discussing in detail about this task, so if we are about to discuss in detail about the attributes of storyboarding, as I mentioned, it's all about tasks, right? It's all about tasks, and we are pictorially depicting how to accomplish a specific task from a user's perspective. How to accomplish a specific task from the user's perspective. Under that aspect, we are considering about what is to be done and what is the sequence, and this indexed based panel sequence, right? We are numbering the panels available in a storyboard. With that, we are able to denote the communication flow, the communication order, and what happens along with the time leading towards the accomplishment of the final goal. Also, when we are drawing storyboards, we represent actual users or stakeholders. So this is again a very good brainstorming activity to get a proper awareness, understanding about the process as well as the involved parties as well. So in a nutshell, we can tell storyboard represents a sequence in relation to the stakeholders' interactions associated with fulfilling a specific goal. As you can witness in the second slide, when we are designing a storyboard, we have to consider on several segments. One segment is the setting. Under setting, we should be aware about who are the people, in the sense the stakeholders involved with the process, then the environment that we are going to model using storyboarding, and the specific task. Say for an example, cash withdrawal from an ATM machine, right? So what is the task? Task is cash withdrawal. Who is involved? A customer or particular person is involved. What is the environment? You are now inside the ATM block, right? You are interacting with the ATM machine. So that is the setting. Then we go to the second segment, sequence. So sequence denotes what are the steps to be completed. Maybe insertion of your ATM card, then typing of your PIN number, appropriate and proper illustrations, pictorial illustrations need to be provided, confined to a specific panel, right? When we are using storyboards, and to denote the sequence, we can index all these panels with a particular numeric value. So this order of the numeric value represent the sequence of the task. The final aspect that we should be worried about is the satisfaction. So under that, what motivates the user to use the app to accomplish the task? Say, instead of physically going to the bank, what makes you to do an online transaction while staying at your home? Maybe saving your time, or maybe the transportation cost, or maybe the weather condition might be not good. Multiple aspects. So you have certain pain points as we discussed in our previous lectures, and this app that we are planning is a good resolution to address those pain points. We already discussed about the pain points concept under activity analysis. Please refer to my longitudinal and sporadic fact collection techniques slide series. So other aspect is what needs are filled by the app, right? So again, if we refer to the same example of online transaction, it saves your time, it saves your money. Why? You don't have to spend money on your transportation. It saves your energy, right? So we have to consider on all these important segments when we are depicting the series of activities leading to a final goal in form of a pictorial depiction adhering to the requirement of the storyboarding, right? I hope now you have a sort of understanding about the initial idea of storyboarding, which is a very strong brainstorming technique. So what are the advantages of storyboarding? Holistic focus. Now we have collected the information using numerous mechanisms. So storyboarding will allow us to obtain in-depth and overall picture about the information that you have collected. Why is that? When you are anticipating, when you are planning to draw the storyboards, it will further trigger your understanding about the process, and during that time also you will understand certain glitches associated with the process that will also help to rectify the process on the go, right? And also it will allow to get all the stakeholders to the same page. Why? You know, picture speaks thousand words, right? So if you are planning to elaborate about a particular functionality through words, there could be a lot of ambiguities associated with that. Why? The receiver or the audible party, stakeholder, other stakeholder could understand that in another way, which might not be the perception that you want to convey. So it leads to ambiguity and finally ending up with a lot of bottlenecks. But storyboarding is a pictorial representation. Picture is worth than thousand words. Therefore, it will limit the potential ambiguities to a greater extent. And what do you need for storyboarding? Just a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, right? So it's less effort consuming. And as I mentioned, it's easy to explain and convince to the other party because nothing complex here. Everything is depicted through pictures. Involved third party also can go through the pictures and create a sort of a mental model about what is going to happen. So that is why we refer this storyboarding technique as a mental walkthrough as well. It's a mental walkthrough. Usually we are not advising to have very nice pictures, right? Very perfect pictures to be included in the storyboarding. We just want to sketch our idea in a pictorial format. Therefore, usually the allocated recommended time is 10 minutes maximum for a particular storyboard. So this is a very effective mechanism to get quick feedback, right? Okay, moving forward. So once the storyboarding is completed, now involved stakeholders might be having sort of a ground level understanding about the platform, or what is to be done, or how to accomplish a specific design goal. At that stage, it is ideal to commence paper prototyping. So in paper prototyping, what we are going to do is we again take a piece of paper and we draw the mock-up of the planned or intended user interface. Earlier, there were no user interfaces. We involved the real personnel who is going to interact with the specific task. Now we are going to use the user interfaces. So in that aspect, we are drawing the planned or anticipated mock-up of the user interface. So if you want to now, say for an example, in your user interface, you need to have several combo boxes, drop down menus. So if it is difficult for you to draw one by one, you just draw a one and create several photocopies, right? So likewise, the elements required for you to complete your paper prototypes can be easily derived via photocopying, right? So you can paste the relevant elements that you have photocopied in your larger interface, paper interface that you have created. So that will give you a very good understanding about the components residing inside the interfaces that you have planned as well, right? So this gives a very good understanding at the implementation stage as well for the implementation engineers. So what are the advantages of the prototyping? Again, it is very creative, right? It's a very creative activity, and high awareness. It leads to high awareness and understanding about the entire process, allows to get quick feedback, and also during the process of drawing the mock-up UIs, new ideas might flow through your mind, right? So that triggers alternative analysis as well. What are the other possible approaches that can be followed to fulfill the same goal in a more effective manner, right? Those advantages also can be addressed. And also on top of that, I would like to highlight this is less cost, right? The cost incurred, effort incurred will be very little. So all those are very good advantage of paper prototyping as well. Once the paper prototyping stage is also completed, now you are having even more good understanding. So now this is the time for you to go up with the wireframes or the digital mockups, right? Digital mockups. So we start with the storyboarding, right? We had the understanding about the basis of the platform, and it is furthermore strengthened with the paper prototypes. Now we have a very good understanding. Lot of refinements might have taken place during this transition, and we have reached to the final section on digital mockups, right? So it's like creating wireframes, or you could use various softwares, or maybe you can use the finally intended piece of software associated IDEs, come up with the digital interface layouts, right? So it is advised not to directly start with the digital mockups because the creation effort is significant, right? So if you directly start with the digital mockup creation without fine tuning the processors, without addressing the glitches, sometimes the effort that you have utilized to derive the digital mockups might be a waste. Okay, so during this lecture we discussed about few brainstorming techniques, and please stay tuned to discuss more important aspects in forthcoming lectures. Thank you very much.